Hi, I'm Celso from Guará.ca, and today I want to talk about portfolio and how to prepare the portfolio that's going to get you the job that you want. I've been working as a 3D artist in Canada for about 15 years, and over half of that has been some sort of leadership role, like a lead or a supervisor. And during this time, I changed jobs more often than I would like to admit, which means that I had to prepare my own portfolio multiple times, but I also had to review portfolios and help hire people to work on my team. And for about 5 years, I was teaching at both college and post-graduation programs, which gave me an insight on what goes through the mind of different people when they're building their portfolios, not just my vision. And last week, somebody that used to be my student reached out, and she was asking some questions about her own portfolio, and that's what inspired this video. Not only because I think more people could benefit from this information, but also because I think I can elaborate more than I did in text formats when I'm speaking to you, and showing examples of what I mean. So let's get into it. So here's the question. If I'm applying somewhere for an internship and they have very stylized work, do you think it would be beneficial to have more stylized work than realistic, or would it be better to have more 50-50? Thank you, and so on. Now, my answer might sound a little bit idealistic and from a privileged position, because it kinda is. There's a lot of portfolio experts out there that are gonna make you second guess what you actually instinctively wanna do. Don't pay attention to that. Don't worry about showing every single skill you have or you think you need to have on your portfolio. Don't waste time making things that you don't like, because that might mean that you're gonna get a job that you also don't like. Now let's be realistic. We all have bills to pay. And most likely than not, the job that you end up getting is not gonna be your final destination, your dream job out of the get-go. When times are tough, you take what you can get, but that shouldn't mean that you need to put time and effort towards getting a job that's not really what you wanted. Now, if your dream is to work at Pixar, but on your free time everything that you make is more realistic, you shouldn't try to force your style to match with Pixar. You should revisit your dream job. Because a lot of times we like the idea of doing something more than we like doing it. And somehow, what we enjoy making is not always what we enjoy consuming. So let's take a look at my own career and the portfolio pieces that took me there, and you can draw your own conclusions. So let's go back to 2010. I'm 22 years old and I just arrived in Canada. I barely speak any English, and the only professional work that I've done involving 3D was for architects and advertisements. And that's not the type of work that I'm gonna look for in Canada. So I got my portfolio together and I just pile in every single art piece that I ever made, and I email it to every single studio in Toronto. And I only hear crickets in return. Not a single reply, not even a no. What I didn't know at the time is that North America was just getting over the 2008 recession, and jobs were not that easy to find. So I give myself some time to improve my English and working on some portfolio pieces. And the idea of looking what jobs are available and making pieces specific for that didn't even cross my mind. I just started making whatever I wanted to make at the time and hoped that would be enough. Looking back, that was a little bit naive, but it worked out. Now, because I was very demotivated about applying online and cold emailing everybody again and getting no answers in return, what I ended up doing was looking at a print shop and printing my portfolio. And this is actually the little booklet that made me get my very first job here. And the cost of having to physically print this actually put some limitations that ended up helping me. Instead of dumping every single art piece I ever made on the portfolio, I had to select about 10 so I could afford to make those books. Even though I believed that the commercial and the architectural work that I was doing at the time would validate me as a professional, I took all of that off my portfolio because it didn't represent what I wanted to do next. What I did instead was I kept the names of the companies I worked for in Brazil on my resume. So let's look at this. I had my name, a little skull on fire because I was really proud of that. And my contact information was here. I'm covering because I still use the same phone number. Little cover letter on broken English, and I'm not gonna linger on this because I'm a little bit embarrassed. And then I started with the art pieces, and they're pretty much all characters. So I made this Hades from Hercules as an exercise to learn fire and cloth and a bunch of things. And I picked a format where I would do one page with the final art piece, and the second page would have like those little Polaroids with different angles and some of the sketches I did before I started on the 3D piece. I actually really like this piece from back in the day. And those sketches I actually made on the subway just going to places, right? So I'm not a big fan of this one. And character, creature, robot. Well, it broke apart. Can't blame it. This is 15 years old or more. So let's just keep going. You got the point, right? I only had characters and creatures on my entire portfolio. And now guess what type of work I got with that portfolio. If you think it's anything character related, you're totally wrong. That portfolio that only has characters got me a job making set extensions and old churches for a TV show called The Borgias. And don't get me wrong, I was beyond excited to be able to actually work on real entertainment pieces. My point here is I didn't have to bend my style and my portfolio and actually spend 6 months making things that I didn't like making to get a job that I didn't love that much. I got the job that I didn't love by making the things that I loved. And at that studio, they wanted me to do character work, they just didn't have any. And I stayed there for about 3 years on the hopes of actually working on some characters. And some digital doubles came along, a little creature for a short film came along, but that wasn't enough for me. So I ended up quitting with the hopes of getting an animation job. But I didn't quit after lining up an animation job. I quit because I needed the time to rebuild my portfolio and actually apply animation places. And out of all the pieces that I made during that time, this little guy is my favorite. And I would define him as, I don't know, stylized creature with high frequency details or something like that. So not really what was hot out there in terms of production. And that lizard got me a job at Nelvana working on Lucky Duck. And Lucky Duck was a Disney special and it had nothing to do with the style I was going for. But by looking at my work, even though it didn't match one-to-one, they knew I would be able to replicate this. A few years go by and my portfolio pieces are looking more like this now. I was really into making robots and I still am. And I had real trouble making cute looking girls. So I started doing character studies based on concept arts that I liked. This one was based on a sketch by Anna Kadish. And this is when the studio that I was working for, one out of 2 studios in Toronto that was doing feature film animation, went bankrupted. And everything else being made in Toronto at the time looked like this. But what I didn't know is that there was a studio, a startup studio with only one movie to their credits, just got greenlit for a feature film animation. And those 2 pieces that seemed completely disconnected, completely different universes, would make me the perfect fit for my dream project. And to this day, this is still my favorite project I ever worked on. It's not a one-to-one, but by making this piece, inspired by Anna Kadish, I kind of proved that I could make some cute, interesting looking girls. And by making these robots, I kind of proved that I could actually take on making those robots for next gen. I had no way of knowing such a cool project would present itself to me at the right moment where I had the perfect pieces. I had no way of predicting that. My point is, we have no way of predicting what kind of projects are going to present itself to us. And when we try to follow trends and make what people need right now, by the time we're done, they already changed their needs. For decades, if you wanted to work on a shooter game, you would have to do realistic characters. Now think of what games are popular right now. Team Fortress is old now, but hyper stylized. Fortnite, Overwatch, and so on. If you think of feature animation, Pixar set the standard for so long. Now the most popular animations out there are Spider-Verse, Arcane, Bad Guys, Mutant Mayhem. There's so many. Pretty much every single popular animated movie nowadays has a unique style to them. And if you spend your time making unique styles because you enjoy it, you are in high demand right now. But if you try to match those styles, by the time you get any good on them, they're obsolete. My point is simple. By making what you want to make, you can prove that you are a good craftsman, that you are able to produce any sort of other styles, and you set yourself up to success on the most important projects, the ones that you're really gonna love.